Hey Internet, Chef Lethal here with another episode of Tasty Techniques for Your Face. Now today is part 2 of our peculiar pizza party. If you have not seen part 1, please pause this video and go back and catch up on that video. I'm going to be talking today with the assumption that you've seen it and you've made your pizza dough, you've made the sauce, and you've made the balsamic reduction. Because today is the day of reckoning. Maybe not reckoning, but okay, we're going to cook the pizza and you need to have those things in order to do that. So with all that said, I'm going to do a little bit of stuff here today inside before we head out and actually do the grilling. Full disclosure though, the balsamic reduction I made at the end of last video filled up this bottle pretty much all the way. I've reduced it more this morning because it was too loose. So a new thing for you to be able to look for when you're reducing down the balsamic vinegar is you want the bubbles in the pan to kind of start stacking up on each other, and that's when you know it's pretty much ready. At that point I would pull it off, cool it, and then check the consistency. This is good. While I'm talking at you, I want you to know that we're only going to be doing one knife thing today, and it's going to be called a chiffonade, and we're going to do it with basil, which is one of the few things that you see chiffonade for. It's French and it means ribbon or something like that. It's real easy and it makes for a cool little ribbony basil effect. It's great for finishing the pizza. When you're grilling a pizza though, you want to make sure that the toppings that you select are either all the way cooked, just need to be warmed up, or can be eaten raw. When it's on the grill, there's not a lot of time for raw things to cook all the way through. So what I'm going to be doing is I've got my sauce, I've got some shredded mozzarella cheese, and I've got some Italian sausage that I bought that I've boiled out, and I'm going to grill it just to give it some char and extra goodness, and I'm going to slice it up so that way it just needs to be warmed up on the grill, and then you're not dealing with raw food or anything like that. So enough talking, let me show you how to do chiffonade. So I've got my stack of basil leaves here, and I have to say these are some of the biggest basil leaves I've ever seen. But so ideally you'd like to stack them up kind of largest to smallest, so you've got the smallest in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want the generally smaller leaves in the middle, because what we're going to do is end up rolling this guy up real nice and tight. So because I'm a stickler for presentation, sharp knife, very important, otherwise you're going to bruise the herbs. But because I like presentation, I'm going to snip off this little ugly end. Otherwise it makes for uneven ribbons. This basically ensures that all of your tips are at the same point. So then I'm going to use the knuckle here, my first knuckle of my index finger as kind of a guide. And you want to slice through the herb. So you don't want to chop and you don't want to saw your way through. Just one little whoop. Just glide right through. Nice and easy. So I'm just going to do this for the entire stack. And just like that, I have beautiful ribbons of basil. This is actually pretty nice. You don't need a ton, but I think it's fun and it's frilly and it's cute and it makes for a great presentation and a great little pop of flavor after everything's been cooked. So I'm going to set this aside and grab the dough. Okay guys, here we go. Point of no return. Remember that small dough ball that I had last night? I guess technically last week for you guys, but in this container was the smallest of the 3 dough balls that I measured out. And it has completely filled up this entire container. I mean, there's a little air bubble down here, but that's insane. The other 2 are literally bursting through the container. See what I mean? That's for later. Okay, all that aside, I'm gonna well, first of all, not gonna do that. I've got some bread flour over here, and I'm going to lightly dust the surface again, just like making the dough into the balls, because now we gotta roll it out. All right, and then I've got, you can't see it, but up here I've got a lipped sheet tray with some parchment on it. I'm gonna hit that with a little bit of flour as well. You'll see why in a sec. Okay, so with that, got a little bit of flour on my gloves. You know guys, I like working with gloves. And I'm just gonna take out the dough. It smells so good. I love the smell of yeast, risen yeast especially, but it's so good. Okay, so just gonna kind of work the dough a little bit. And now you do want to have your dough out before you start working it for a little bit, just to kind of take the chill off of it. Probably about an hour or so. So I've got a little disc here, and then I'm just going to start stretching the dough, kind of letting it fall. I'm going to make a lip around, And to be quite honest with you guys, I've never really been very good at making pizza shapes. It usually ends up into like a big oval, which is fine. I mean, it still tastes great. So I'm just gonna stretch, and turn, and stretch, and turn. So this is an instance where playing with your food kind of pays off. Because it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do need to, make sure it's a good size for a pizza, And if you find that one side is kind of thicker than the other, just, push it apart. Get in there. Use your hands. Have some fun. That's what this is all about. Well, maybe not what it's all about. It's about having great tasting pizza. But, you gotta have a good foundation to put your toppings on. So I'm just gonna keep working. This side over here feels a little bit thicker, so I'm gonna wiggle it a little bit more, little wiggle stretch action. And you can kind of see why mine usually turn into rectangles, because I'm doing this kind of thing. There's also no shame in using a rolling pin. No shame at all. In fact, I usually do that, but I thought that for you guys, I would try to just do it by hand. This is actually looking pretty good. I mean, you can keep a little lip if you want along the side to have the kind of traditional crust on the sides. Obviously, I'm not too worried about that. I just want a good size dough ball here, basically. All right, I think we're looking good. So once you're satisfied with the shape of your pizza, which I am, I'm gonna flop it on my sheet tray here with a little bit of flour on the bottom. That's just gonna prevent it from sticking to the paper. And then I'm gonna preheat my grill, half of my grill, one half of it, to the highest heat possible. And the other side I'm actually gonna keep off. Be right back. While your grill is preheating, go ahead and get everything that you need right now. Because once the pizza goes on the grill, there's no time to run to the kitchen and, oh, I forgot my spatula, or, oh, I forgot my cheese. Get it all together. On my tray, I've got 2 spatulas. I've got a little silicone brush thingy for my oil that you're gonna need. I've got some kosher salt, my cheese, my sauce, a spoon to apply said sauce, and I've got my sausages on the grill right now. I'm gonna be cutting those up in just a second, but that's gonna be on my tray as well. Like I said, once this pizza goes on the grill, all bets are off. You better be ready. Okay, my sausage is done. Ding, ding. Okay, my grill is ready to go, so we gotta move quick. First things first, on the first side of the pizza dough that's up right now, a little bit of oil. I'm just gonna drizzle just a little bit up on top. Then I'm gonna use my little fun silicone brush here to kind of just do a brush job all the way around, just to kind of lubricate. This is gonna be the side that goes on the grill first. Keep that in mind. So this is gonna help brown and all that stuff that is delicious. And then, don't forget this part, please. Add a little bit of salt. It doesn't take very much. Just a little sprinkling to give that side of the dough a little bit of extra flavor. Now we gotta go outside. Okay, I know the lighting out here is a little weird, but we gotta move quick anyway, so hopefully you can see. Grill, one side, very hot. Pizza dough. Top side that's been salted and oiled is going face down on the hot side. Boom! Just like that. All right, let's get in there, hands. Nice and even. Now I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of oil on this side, just a little bit, don't go crazy. And then, just like before, I've got my brush. I'm gonna do a quick little brush job here, just to evenly distribute that oil as much as possible. And maybe a touch more. That's my dog Lucy, everybody, if you can hear her. She probably thinks I'm talking to strangers, which I am not. So there. Then we gotta hit it with some salt as well. We gotta make sure this side's seasoned as well, since this is going to be the bottom. And now we just have to wait for just a couple minutes here. I will take the camera here, so I'll bring you in close. This is what's happening right now. I've got big bubbles kind of all over. This is very good. The edge is nice and poofy. Get a peek underneath. I should be getting some browning. Oh yeah. Kind of see that nice already. It's already smelling pizza-y out here. Alright, so just get in there with your spatulas. After the first couple of, after the first minute, you can kind of play around with it and see what the bottom looks like. Mine's looking very well browned. I'm just gonna flip it around and make sure that the heat is kind of evenly distributed amongst the browning of the bottom here. And yeah, we're looking good. I'm actually gonna give this like another 30 seconds and then we're gonna flip. Okay, they say waiting is the hardest part. Usually I agree, this time I'm gonna disagree. The flipping can be the hardest part sometimes. So I'm gonna grab the pizza with both spats here and then just kind of, however you can, do a flip job onto the cool side of the grill. Ah! I'll bring you in really quick. We gotta move quick. So I've got some really nice browning. It's nice and even. Look, you can see the salt in there. Ooh, salt, yes. But we gotta go quick. I've already wasted too much time. Gotta add some sauce. While we're working over here, the bottom is not getting brown, but it is cooking a little bit, so we'll be able to flip it back over. But I've got my sauce. I'm gonna add, I don't know, you don't wanna go too heavy. You know, it's pizza. I mean, make it however you want, but I don't like a huge thick layer of tomato sauce on my pizza. I'm gonna add just a little bit more here over on this side. Just kind of spread it out with your spoon. You've seen people do this before. Nice and easy. Oh, it smells so good. All right, then I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of my mozzarella. Obviously, guys, do whatever you wanna do with your toppings. This is just how I'm doing it. Just go like that. Oh yeah. Very nice, very nice. Let's go like that. And then I've got some Italian sausage. With that done, it's gonna slide her back over to the hot side and then close the lid. This part of the equation, very important because you want your cheese to melt and any raw ingredients to cook through however much they have to. Whatever cooked thing you want on there, but you need it warm, this is gonna do that. Remember how long it took us to brown the bottom of the first side? Well, it's gonna be about the same length for this one. If you take a peek and there's too much browning, we can just move the pizza over to the not hot side and then just let it melt over there. Once your cheese on top's melty and crust on the bottom looks nice and brown, it's time to take her off. So just like your flip, except for a little bit easier. And then I've just got my sheet tray over here. Place it on there. Now the tricky part. We're gonna go inside and we've gotta let this sit untouched for about 3 minutes. 3 minutes, guys, give me 3 minutes. I gotta turn my grill off. My arm is starting to singe. After the appointed time, it's time to cut. I don't gotta teach you guys how to cut up a pizza, but I will say if you have the basil and you have the balsamic reduction, wait to do those until after you make the slices, otherwise it makes a mess and smears it around and it's not pretty. Again, I'm a sucker for the flair. So I'm just gonna make some cuts here. This smells so good. The inside's like thinner and crispier than the rest of it. So it's got a nice little crisp, little crunch when I cut through. These are gonna be, the thing about these homemade pizza, especially on the grill like this, is the slices end up being these really weird oblong shapes. I think that's fine. I think it adds to the charm a little bit. It makes it more rustic. And then we just add our toppings, and the only thing left is to open up a beer and eat some pizza. We have pizza, and I'm really excited. And in full disclosure, I don't know how the video outside came out. Obviously, I can't really check how it looks on YouTube, but hopefully it looks okay, and maybe if not, you can at least get the gist of what's going on. The key is to work fast and be as organized as possible. So with that said, I've got my pizza, I've got some beer in the fridge, and I've got some time to kill, so I'm gonna chow down. I wanna thank you guys for watching this episode of Tasty Techniques. I'm Chef Lethal. I'll catch you next time.